I want to help other people cope, right? And that's what that stands for, COPE, conquering the obstacles of painful experiences. I want to help people conquer what I wasn't able to conquer as a kid. And so
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of From the Script, a platform for my authors, my scribers, my TV, film, and songwriters, where they're able to peel back the letters of their stories and take us on their journey. I am your host, Armourie, and I have a treat, okay? Let me say it again. I have a treat here with me today. Just to give you a little hint, she's an author, okay? She's a poet. She's a playwright. She is a licensed therapist. Let me say it again. A licensed therapist. And she is the CEO and founder of K.O.K. Please help me welcome the one, the only Miss Casondra Burkley. How are you?
I am doing so well. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Yes, I'm happy to have you here. It's been a pleasure. I'm it's overdue, long time overdue. Okay. And we are here.
Yes.
So please help us, bring the viewers up to date of who you are, how you came to be about today, and just all of the things.
Okay. So I am, like you mentioned, a licensed clinical social worker. I do therapy. I am from Houston, born and raised, and so just growing up in poverty, being raised by a single mother, going through some traumatic experiences as a child, is pretty much what got me here. As I was growing up and not really feeling like I had a good support system, not really feeling like I had outlets, brought me to this space of, I want to help other people cope, right? And that's what that stands for, COPE, conquering the obstacles of painful experiences. I want to help people conquer what I wasn't able to conquer as a kid. And so now here I am, today, just using any platform God gives me to be able to help other people overcome their obstacles.
Talk about the beauty of powerful. Like, that is very, very, very good, because especially with, you mentioned coping. A lot of individuals, they have things that happen to them and they just don't know how to get over that hump, or they just don't even know how to even process it. And to know that you've created an amazing platform like that just, you're definitely walking in your calling, walking into that purpose. Wow, like, I'm over here just lost for words. What was that pivotal moment that ignited that spark of wanting to create K.O.K?
I think it was really kind of a culmination of things. It was a building process, right? So I was raped in high school. In 1995, my house was broken into, and a stranger broke into my home, and I was raped at that time.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
So thank you for that. After that, I went through several years of just really trying to figure out my identity, really trying to understand why I went through what I went through, and why I experienced what I experienced, on top of growing up in poverty, living in shelters, not really knowing where I was going to end up laying my head. I went to 3 different high schools, 3 or 4 different elementary schools, so bouncing around, not having a lot of stability. And so as life continued to progress, I knew that I didn't want to, didn't need to. I knew that I had to. I knew that I had to use the things that I had gone through to help other people, because I knew that God's grace had covered me enough to be able to still go to college, still graduate, still, get connected to ministries and activities and all these things that I was seeing my life go in positive directions when I knew of stories of people who had gone through similar things and their lives were not turning out that way. And so because I saw the hand of God and the grace of God on my life, it began years and years of what can I do with this to help other people? And I'll tell you a pivotal point, kind of the turn for me. I was in college, walking through the student union building, graduated from Baylor University, going through the student union building, and all of a sudden one day, a friend of mine, she came up to me in the middle of the student union building. I mean, hundreds of students around, right? She's bawling, crying. And I'm like, what's going on? What happened? And so she collapses in my arms and she says, I was raped last night.
Oh my gosh.
So in that moment, it was kind of like, and it may be weird to people, but for me, it was kind of like an epiphany. This is why.
Wow.
This is why you went through that, because there are millions of people like this who don't have anyone else to talk to, who don't have anyone else to trust, who don't know what their next steps need to be. And now you will be a voice that will be able to help. And I was able to say to her in that moment, you're not alone. I was raped too, and you can get through this. I'm going to walk with you through this.
Wow.
And that moment, along with just overcoming just some of the other things, it was at that point I knew I had to go in the direction that was going to give me the ability to help other people overcome and conquer their obstacles of painful experiences.
My. Literally, like, just sitting in that is mind-blowing. Like you said, she came out of the blue in the student union. And it's like she was just, she knew. She knew and God knew. Talk about just divine appointments. That is, wow.
Yeah.
My God. Ooh. That's just, I'm just still honestly just trying to sit with the process of what you experienced at the age of 16. To know that your life changed in a blink of an eye. And to see your story unravel, it's amazing. How important is it for you to? You mentioned some people don't have that outlet. So how important is it for someone as pivotal and as key as you to be a voice for the voiceless?
I think it's very important. There has not been one time, and I mean one time in all of my years of sharing my story, that afterwards there has not been at least one person who has come up to me and said, thank you for sharing your story. The same thing happened to me. I've never talked about it. 100% of the time. And so when I hear stories like that and they're coming to me in tears and, finally feeling like they can actually have the courage or the strength to speak up and speak out, that is what, kind of continues to inspire me. And it also reminds me of how important it is for people to tell their stories, because if you don't, what that does is it just builds an emotional prison on the inside of you, and it is so important for me to continue to use my voice and continue to encourage and continue to basically shout from the rooftops. Like, you can overcome the things that you've experienced, but you got to be willing to go through the process.
That's a very key point.
It is. And it doesn't happen by osmosis. Like, you have to be willing to go through the journey, and the journey is not pleasant. It's not pleasant. It pulls things out of you that you didn't know were there. It unsettles things that have been buried. It removes the scabs of things that have healed improperly, so that they can heal properly. I mean, it is a journey, and a lot of it is unpleasant, but the outcome is you can't put a price tag on it. You can't put a price tag on peace. You can't put a price tag on hope. You can't put a price tag on determination. You can't put a price tag on resilience. You can't put a price tag on any of that.
Facts.
And so that telling my story and encouraging other people to tell their story, you know, plays into all of that.
Like you said, you cannot put a price tag on either of those.
No.
That's pivotal. This episode of From the Script is brought to you by the Creators Guild HTX. Please be sure to tap in with them. They are the one-stop shop for podcasting, production, and so much more. If you are looking to book your next session, please visit theguildhtx.com and just tap in with them. You never know what visions you're able to bring to life with them. So let's get it. So on the topic of sharing your story, let's peel back a layer and let's unravel Case Closed, which is beyond impactful. From the news articles I've read, the news features that I've been able to watch, just take us there in that moment of you writing Case Closed, and just give us a bit of insight about that book.
So while Case Closed, it took me a while to write it. Years actually. Because there were so many pieces and I was really trying to figure out what to include, what not to include.
Okay.
Just to kind of give a little bit of backstory on Case Closed and how the name came about. So when my house was broken into in 1995, I went to the hospital, did rape kit, all of those things. Really anticipating and hoping and expecting that rape kit was going to bring justice pretty quickly. 1 year passed by, 2 years passed by, 5 years passed by, 10 years passed by, 15 years passed by. Never heard anything from the rape kit testing from the police department. Didn't hear a word. In 2010, 15 years after the rape, I got a call from the Houston Police Department telling me that there had been a backlog of rape kits that sat for over 10 years untested. And mine was one of thousands of those rape kits that had not been tested all those years.
That's crazy.
So imagine 16-year-old me, now 26-year-old me, right? You know, well, 26, you know, when I'm finding out that at the time, that's when they started testing the rape kits, and then 5 years beyond that, right? So I am getting this call out of the blue in the middle of life, if you will, and they're telling me, okay, we need you to come back down to the police department. We've tested your rape kit. It wasn't tested, and we got a match.
Oh, my gosh.
And so I am just kind of losing my mind at this point, because things that I thought I had dealt with now are resurfacing. And so I had to go back to the police department, literally had to look at pictures that of the house, of the bedroom, of everything, the door that was kicked in, all of those things from 16, and had to identify those pictures again.
Wow.
So after going through that process, they confirmed to me that the rape kit came back with a match, that he was in jail for another rape.
Oh, my gosh.
And that he had pled guilty to my rape. And so because of that, he would receive an additional 25 years, and that my case would finally be closed.
Oh, my gosh.
So that is how the name of the book came about, because I went through these 15 years of not knowing what was going on, what was happening, where this person was, you know, this kind of fear, you know, that kind of carries or walks with you because you just don't know anything about, you know, this perpetrator. And so Case Closed was just the story of what I experienced emotionally through those years, and then also what it felt like to experience the justice, to experience the peace of knowing that I had received justice and that my case had finally closed. So to go back to your initial question of just the book writing process, it was a pretty lengthy process, because again, what do I include? What don't I include? What parts of this story do I tell? How detailed do I get? You know, and then not only how detailed, you know, this is now unearthing some emotions and things that I'm having to relive, think about, things of that nature. So it took me a pretty good while to actually write it. But then once it was written, you know, it was such a relief, and it also had a lot of revelation.
That's deep.
As I was writing, God was revealing to me things about me, about my character, about why I do the things that I do and how I do the things that I do them, the ways that I do them. It was a lot of really a healing. A part of my healing journey was to write that story, and release it through a book, because there were things that I hadn't thought about, that I hadn't considered, that are now pretty pivotal, I would think, to my story and to the healing journey for other people as well.
That is amazing to see how you're able to transform your story and really just like going through that process. It just uncovered so many different just areas about yourself and just your life, and it just helps become like those elements to like your entire sculpture, and so 10 years later, I'm just still like trying to like process just everything with them giving you a call out of the blue. Like you said, you're in the thick of life.
Yes.
You're in the just in your mid 20s.
Yeah. Well, I'm at this point because 15 years, so 16 to 15 years. I'm 31 at this point.
Literally starting a whole new decade.
Yes. So I'm 31 at this point. Yes.
Before I ask the next question, I'm wondering, through that time span of there being no response, no justification, how were you feeling during that time?
That is honestly hard to put into words, because there were different seasons within that time.
Okay.
Right? So there were seasons of, I don't think about this at all, almost like this doesn't exist, until there was a trigger. And so my emotions, I would say, were on a roller coaster. I remember being in college. I hadn't really talked much about what had happened to me. There were a few people from high school that knew. And outside of that, there were not many people that knew the story at that time. And we were watching Law and Order SVU, one of my favorite shows. And there was a young lady on the stand, and she was testifying about her rape experience. And out of the blue, like, these emotions just erupted out of nowhere. I was sitting there with some of my friends, and I just burst into tears and ran out of the room. And of course, they're like, Casondra, they're knocking. I'm in the bathroom, close myself in, Casondra, what's wrong? Whatever. And it hit me that, okay, I still have some things that I need to work through. I still have some things that I need to deal with. And so to answer the question of how was I feeling is very difficult, because there were ebbs and flows. There were moments when I felt like I was on top of the world and I had conquered this thing. And then there were moments that I felt like I'm never going to get over this. I felt the shame would creep in, the embarrassment and things of that nature. So it really took me later in life going to therapy, because I didn't go to therapy when it happened. It took me going to therapy later to process the pain in a healthy way versus the way that I had created for myself that was most comfortable. But I just had so many variations of emotions. It was quite the experience.
Wow. As I'm looking at you, I just kept hearing the beautiful spirit, and you are so resilient. I would have never even imagined or even thought that you experience what you've gone through, and to see you now taking life by the reins and turning your story into something that can impact others, but it was also a healing tool for you. And that's very, very, very just, I'm trying to find the word, honestly. It's just so moving and it's just so touching. When we break down Case Closed, what would you say or identify as one of those as a chapter that was very key in that book that resonated with you, that you want to touch on as far as
Honestly, it would probably be the last chapter, which is the chapter, it's called Moving Forward.
I love that.
And so that chapter really just culminates just the healing process, steps to help other people deal with moving forward. How do you move forward? What is it? What steps do you need to take? And it really just inspires me to keep going, because life doesn't stop.
That is a fact.
You know, like, that was one incident in my life, you know, but there have been many others.
Okay.
And so taking that perspective, that mindset, I have had to, you know, apply that to other areas in my life where I've experienced pain. And so that chapter just gives tangible steps on how to move forward after you have gone through something that could be so traumatic in your life. So that chapter for sure, I would say.
Okay. And then the title alone has me at hello, moving forward to just greatness and just abundance and just
all the things.
All of the things.
Yes.
Wow. What would you expect for readers to gain after reading Case Closed?
I would expect them to gain insight into trauma. I don't think we really, trauma is a word that's thrown around, you know, a lot nowadays, but I do think that it will help people get insight to that. I think the book will also help inspire and encourage other people to tell their stories. I think it will encourage other people to look deep within to see, you know, what is it that I can say or do that I can use my life obstacle as a stepping stone to greatness. I also, you know, believe that people will gain tangible tools, as I mentioned before, you know, on how to move forward. Yeah. What are the steps? What are some things that I can start to do in order to be able to move to the next place in life where I'm not feeling like I'm being held captive by the pain that I have experienced in my past, that I'm able to, like Paul told us, put those things in the past that be in the past and press towards the mark of the high calling. And in order for me to be able to press, I need to know the appropriate tools. I need to have the appropriate tools, have those skills. And I believe the book does, you know, give insight to that.
Yeah, that's so pivotal. No one should even have to ever go through that.
No, not at all.
Ever. You mentioned something earlier in referencing therapy and how you just went through that as well. How important is it for someone to seek therapy, especially on a important topic such as this? What are the benefits for someone who needs therapy, or just encouraging them to even seek therapy? Because a lot of people have the stigma around, oh, you should do therapy. Maybe people think you're crazy. No, it's a real thing.
Yeah, no, therapy is so important. I remember after the rape, my mom asked me as a kid, you know, do you want to get therapy? And of course, back then I didn't know anything about it, and I immediately said no. I don't want to go to therapy. My mindset was, I don't want people to judge me. I don't want people to, I don't want to feel embarrassed. I don't want to feel shameful about what I experienced. As a therapist now, I have learned that therapy is an outlet, to a safe outlet to help you deal with the shame, to help you deal with the embarrassment, to help you process it in a way to give you a different or a more positive perspective. And I just think that, you know, we really need to reinforce the importance of people taking advantage of outlets that allow them to release, but not just to release, where you have a professional that can actually give you tangible tools and skills that can help you, that you can apply to your life, not just over the experience that you had, but in general. So a lot of the things that I learned in my own personal therapy, I don't just apply those to my healing journey. I apply that to being an entrepreneur. I apply that to being a minister. I apply that to being a mother. I apply that to being a friend. I apply that to being a sister. Like, these are things that you can apply to different areas of your life. And so therapy is so important for us to have that outlet, but also to gain really great tools for life.
I told y'all she was a powerhouse. Okay.
I'm vanilla, baby. I'll choke you, but I ain't no killer, baby. She 28, telling me I'm still a baby. I get love in Detroit.
Dropping gems. Oh my gosh. Wow, wow, wow. So you have written Case Closed. You are also, talk about tools in your toolbox. You are also a playwright. Please help us understand what ignited that spark to even start writing for plays, like, because that's a powerful step.
Yes. So I was in drama in high school. That's where the passion initially came from. And then one thing that I have learned over time is many people may not ever go into a therapist's office, but they will go to a play. They will watch a movie. They will watch a television show. And so my goal and my thought process behind writing the play was, let me use a platform that I love, that I have a passion for, and use it as a tool to help people.
I love that.
Yeah. And so my first play here in Houston.
Come on, shout out H-Town.
H-Town. My first play in Houston was Case Closed.
Wow.
So I took the book
Wow.
and turned it into a play, which I'm now in the process of turning it into a screenplay so it can be produced as a movie. But that's where that passion comes from, using entertainment as a platform to educate, to inspire, to encourage, to uplift, to give tools, all of those things. You'll see all of that in my plays.
I love that. When I say I love that, I love that. I love that, especially just from the love that I have for production. And to sadly say, we see where that road has been kind of lost its way. And I don't even want to say lost its way, but honestly lost its way. You know, there's so many different things that are out there that aren't educating, that aren't empowering us, that are not uplifting us, and are feeding us lies and feeding us these elements of this microwavable life, and it's not like that. And to be able to see that you're utilizing your gifts to do all of the things that you just listed, and taking what you love and being able to help encourage and inspire and just be an outlet for people, like you said, somebody could be watching it and be getting the healing that they need. So I love that. Ooh, look, I love that. I love that. Look, be on the lookout, okay, for the big screens. Oh, because y'all, be ready, y'all. Be ready. Oh, my goodness. Wow, 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 wow. We also have these amazing affirmation cards. So you created K.O.K cards as well. And please just give us insight about that, what sparked you to create those.
So K.O.K cards, thank you for sure for mentioning that. It was a tool that I thought was necessary. You know, again, not everyone is going to always feel comfortable going into a space with a stranger, right? I encourage everyone to take that step, but it may not happen. So K.O.K cards is I would say the middle ground.
I love that.
Right? So and even if you're going to therapy, you can still use the K.O.K cards, right? Because they're just an additional tool asset. What's included in them is comforting quotes.
Okay.
So there are 25 encouraging quotes. So it's like a 3-step process.
I love that.
So 1, 2, 3. First, you encourage yourself with comfort, right? The next is a conquering journaling prompt. So it'll give you a clinical or therapeutic prompt to journal about. And then the last step is, comforting, encouraging through affirmations. So then you confirm, right? So you comfort, you counsel, you confirm. And you do all 3 steps. And there are 25 encouraging quotes, 30 counseling cards, and then 5 affirmation cards. And you can repeat them as often as you need to.
I love how you are giving someone activities to do and encouraging them to take that step. They, like you mentioned, this is something that can be served as a middle ground. Someone who may be afraid to do therapy, is afraid to, share certain thoughts. If they utilize the K.O.K cards, like you said, it helps comfort, it helps counsel. Let me make sure I got it right. And it helps confirm.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're encouraging people to journal, that is very, very, very key, because that's another tool to have self-healing. And so I love that. What made you want to create these cards?
I am all about equipping people, and it was something that, I had a vision for. Again, just like the book, something I've been working on for years. Okay. I literally have a notepad in my phone where I would just write down encouraging quotes and write down activities. And I started seeing, okay, this is becoming, a pattern of things that I can really package to utilize as a tool for other people. And so another thing that I realized as well, that some people may never go to therapy. They just might not. But this is kind of that middle ground. Yeah. If you're in therapy or if you're not, it can still give you a tool that can help you process and deal with the things that life brings your way.
I love that. At this point, I need to make sure I'm doing the K.O.K cards, because the way that life has been lifing lately.
And it will.
I need all of the tools I need. Oh my gosh. Ooh, that's so good. Y'all thought we were done, but we're not, because I have another tool to unravel. Now, you are also a poet.
I am.
Please give us the tea about that. Like, how did that come to be about?
I love the performing arts.
I love that.
I love the performing arts. I love entertainment. And I just believe any gift that God gives me, it's a gift that can be used to, 1, bring glory back to Him, but 2, to help other people. And so when I write, it is an outlet for me. It's my way of journaling, when I write poetry, but it's also my way of inspiring others. So I write to process my pain, but I also write to help equip others as well.
You write to process your pain, but you also write to equip others as well. Quote that. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, that's very, 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 very on point. Would you say you have the same writing process for, say, for instance, if you're writing your plays, you're writing your books, and even just writing your poetry? Do you have different writing techniques for each of them, or is pretty much the same throughout?
I will be honest, it's all very random.
Okay.
And maybe random is not the best word. You might be able to help me come up with a better word. But I write as I'm inspired. It can be the middle of the night. It can be me driving down the street and I have to pull over because I just had a vision, of something, a skit, a play, something to add to the movie. It could be I'm in the middle of church and I hear a sermon and it inspires me. As a matter of fact, that just happened a couple of weeks ago. I was in church and got inspired for a poem and literally pulled my phone out in the moment and start writing the poem.
Come on.
And so, I don't really have a process. It really is inspirational. When I feel inspired, I have to write it down right then or I will lose it. So it doesn't really matter where I am. I have to, capture those things in the moment.
That's so good. I feel like that helps bring the authenticity to it as well, especially just being able to write it down in a moment. There have been times when I feel like I get this creative burst of energy, and so many ideas are being downloaded in my mind, and I can't go to sleep. If I try to go to sleep, God is like, girl, get up. I need you to write down what I put in your mind.
Yeah.
Do it right now, because you just never know. Sometimes we could get distracted, and so yeah, I love that you like it, you take it as it comes, and you let God just guide you and lead you, and it makes me think about it makes me think about the song by Tasha Cobbs when she speaks about you still love me in spite of me. Talks about being like the paintbrush, the instrument to just being used by God. And I hope I'm getting it, or I hope I got the artist right, because I love that. Okay. Wow. Okay. Ooh, okay. I don't even know where to even go from there, because we talked about your K.O.K cards. Like, that's just super pivotal. Talked about you being a poet. Talked about you being an author, and you being a playwright. You are also very active in the community as well, from speaking engagements to workshops and conferences. What helped you just interject yourself in the community as well?
Really just, the life that I have lived, I really want to be a voice. I want to be a face. I want to be ultimately the hands and feet of Jesus.
Come on.
To really go out in the community and use my voice to uplift. And so when I do a workshop, when I do a conference, when I do a retreat, they all have the same goal. And that goal is to help someone heal.
Amen.
Period.
Yes.
That's it. And so I am going to, even in the business world, if I'm doing a consulting workshop, I'm going to incorporate emotional intelligence or something that is going to help other people be able to handle life.
Yeah. Ooh, that's so powerful. And I can attest to the workshops, because I've seen you at 2 events, and I mean, mind blowing. From just, I don't want to give all the details. Y'all got to make sure y'all join her workshops, because just know from the grounding exercises to just holding the pendulum.
Yes.
Pendulum. I think I said it right. Did I say it for pendulum? Just seeing how powerful your brain is just so key. So if y'all see that she has a workshop or anything coming up, y'all need to make sure y'all go, because it's something that you don't want to miss, especially if you're in the process of trying to heal and overcome. Because the Dissolve to Conquer, oh baby, I was at that bowl. You know what? We're gonna say we can't give them too much. We can't give them too much. Okay, so we're gonna pivot real quick, and we're gonna play a little game.
Okay.
And it's called Underrated or Overrated. Okay. And it's where I'll throw out a series of topics, and you just have to let me know if it's underrated or overrated, and your reasoning why, within a matter of 7 seconds.
Okay.
Now we can see about the 7 seconds. We just don't. We'll see. We'll see where the conversation goes. The first one, and it's so crazy because you've been touching on all of these. Journaling, is it underrated or overrated?
Underrated. And I think it's underrated because people don't realize the power of release.
I love that. The power of release. Ooh, see? Come on, 7 seconds, baby. We on the roll. Okay, the next one. Therapy.
Underrated. It is underrated because it is a necessary outlet. It's a safe space, a confidential space, and I think everybody should take advantage of it. You never know what's on the inside of you until you have someone that can help you pull it out.
I've been trying to stay glued to my seat this entire time. I've been trying not to run around. Theatrical plays.
I'm gonna go with overrated. There are so many plays out there, and I mean, you can find a play every day of the week, every weekend. But what's underrated is plays that actually have a message that's gonna inspire and give you tools. So it was both. Was that okay?
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. And I'm trying not to even dive into that, because I feel like that's how it is when some of the shows, some of the movies that we see. What messages are we really sharing? We said we weren't going to go on a tangent, Raquel. We're not going to do that. Ooh, and I just gave y'all my government name, but hey, we here. The last one. Flowers.
Underrated. Flowers are underrated. I love flowers, and I don't even know how to describe that, but it's just a way of seeing freshness, newness. I got it. Can I share this?
Yes, please.
This. Okay. You said flower, and it just made me think of the flower that's actually on the front of my K.O.K cards. And so that flower is a lotus flower. And the lotus flower, for those that may not know, is a flower that blooms in the mud and in the darkness. And so I say flowers are underrated because we go through so many things in life. And the flower is a representative that you can bloom in dirt. You can grow, you can flourish, you can become beautiful. You are beautiful even in the development phase.
Come on.
And so yes, flowers are definitely underrated.
And side note, lotus flowers are one of my favorite flowers.
They're beautiful.
They're so beautiful.
They're beautiful.
My grandmother has them in her backyard. She has like different kinds, like some are like orangish, pink, and others are just green. Like, yeah, lotus flowers are just, yeah. So when I saw that at the workshop, I was like, ooh, I love that. Oh my gosh. Wow, this has been super powerful, just having you on and sharing your story, giving us a backstory and insight, y'all, where I'm coming from, of just who you are and how you have just transformed not only lives but also my life as well. Just being encouraged and inspired by you. Please, tell us what's next. What do you have coming down the line? Do we have another book, more K.O.K cards, another? What's all of the things? You know,
it's a lot actually coming down the pipeline. My brain never stops.
I love that.
But the main things are, I am working on another book. It's actually, I don't have the title yet, but it's Biblical Principles in Mental Health. It's basically what it's about, like how the Bible, there are biblical principles that support mental health. And so I'm working on a book that will do that and help other people see the connection in the two.
Ooh.
And then my movie, Case Closed, that is definitely coming to a screen near you.
Come on.
You know, so I am diligently, praying and staying committed to the process. It's taken a lot longer than I anticipated, but I know anything worth having is worth working for and waiting on. And of course, more workshops, after the pain, I plan to continue to take that workshop to different organizations, cities, eventually across the world to help people know what you do after pain. When you've experienced pain in your life, these are some tools that can help you move forward and conquer the obstacles of painful experiences.
Y'all have got a treat. I'm telling y'all. And I love how you said you want to take this to a global perspective and just touching lives all over, because there's so many people who go through different things in different countries, touching on the sensitive topic of rape, people that are taking places in villages. And that's just a whole other element. So I am just grateful to have you here. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. Please let everyone know where they can connect with you and just find out all things about Case Closed, your brand K.O.K, and how they can, secure K.O.K cards and things of that nature.
Yes, everything is all on my website, morethank.com. You can find the K.O.K cards, the books, all the things, speaking links, all those things are there. You can follow me on at morethank on Facebook as well as on Instagram, and also give a lot of tools there as well, tips and mental health things that I share on all my social media platforms.
Yeah, well, thank you again. It was so great having you, and oh my gosh, y'all, this has been another episode of From the Script, a blessed episode of From the Script, and make sure you tune into all streaming platforms, and remember to be bold, don't fold, and come through the fire as K.O.K. We out.